Blake? What are you doing?
What? We're just playing Mortal Kombat.
But don't you know what day it is, Blake?
Of course I know, it's just Tuesday.
No, it's Wednesday.
Ah! Alright, we gotta go!
Hello, movie fans, and welcome to the third episode of Be Kind and Rewind, where we rank all of your favorite movie franchises. I'm Owen Miles.
And I'm Blake Blodgett, and today we'll be talking about the Rocky franchise.
That's right, Blake, a real personal favorite of mine. I actually requested that we do this one.
That's right, and honestly, I'm glad you did. I'm happy we get to talk about another franchise that has pretty much only good movies for the sake of my own sanity.
I agree with that introduction. And let's get that out of the way and start talking about the first Rocky movie. The original Rocky was released in 1976 and quickly became a pop culture mega giant and is still that thing to this day.
It was written by and stars the man himself, Sylvester Stallone, and was his big break into the movie industry, where he would end up being one of the most successful faces in Hollywood, with the story of Rocky being very similar to his own. So, Rocky
Balboa.
I mean, I think this has become a moot point on this show when we talk about the originals in these franchises. There's not much we can add. I mean, they've been dissected to death at this point. And, I mean, especially, I think at this point, Rocky, it's, like we said, it's one of the most iconic movies of all time.
I believe the first movie that we've covered on this to win a bunch of Academy Awards, including Best Picture.
Well, yeah, because it's not a horror movie.
Yeah, you know.
God forbid we give any credit to horror movies. That's a rant for a different time, but anyway.
But yeah, this was the movie that got me to love Sylvester Stallone. He's, without a doubt, a top 5 at least actor of all time for me, and he's showed in this franchise that he can write and direct movies as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this was his baby. This was the movie that, like we said, broke him in. Originally, studios were not going to let him star in it. They're like, we'll just buy this off of you. But he was really persistent that he wanted to star in it, and it ended up working out. I mean...
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone else as Rocky Balboa.
Same.
Another thing is the stairs in Philadelphia. I've personally been to Philadelphia to those stairs, and I just had to run up them. I mean, it's just instinct at that point. If you're on the huge stairs in downtown Philly, there's now a Rocky store next to it. I went to it, and
did not get to buy the $180 Rocky IV shorts, unfortunately. Your family talked you out of that purchase, luckily.
Yeah, but my sister actually got the black jacket from Rocky II. I know that's coming up here, and that was even more. So
let's talk about the movie a little bit. I think my favorite aspect of it is it's kind of a love story disguised as a boxing movie. Yeah. The more prevalent part of it is the love story between him and Adrian, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, like at the end of the movie, they're talking about like after the fight, and the decision reading is not the focus. It's just him trying to get to Adrian. It's a split decision too, by the way, like a very evenly split decision. Which, if that happened in real life,
would
with
be insane.
The world heavyweight champion versus some nobody from Philadelphia, that's insane.
So obviously it's movie magic. Like things like that don't really happen, unfortunately. I mean, this movie also introduced us to Adrian, Mickey, Paulie, all the characters that would become.
Paulie, I love Paulie. He's just so.
Paulie's okay.
So much. Not really in this movie. I have to say, but later on in the franchise, he's really, really funny to laugh at.
Well, yeah, to laugh at. He's someone you laugh at, not with. You know.
And rest in peace, Burt Young.
Let's get to the ranking.
Yes,
see where we ranked the first one. Maybe.
All right. Well, we'll get this up.
Oh.
Okay. So.
Well, we'll just say I had it at 2. He had it at 1.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do a Halloween thing with this movie franchise.
No hot takes.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the OG. I think that this is a movie that I just really love so much.
All right.
So anyway, we are gonna take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, hopefully with a working TV, on Be Kind and Rewind.
Would you like to try snacks from faraway lands? Or snacks with bizarre flavors? How about snacks in new ways? Or snacks you've never tried before? You don't have to go far to find these snacks. They can all be found here at Snacks on West First Street.
Yeah, we're walking around campus, and what do we see?
All these clubs are looking.
They're looking for me.
There's hockey,
There's improv,
so much to see. So let's go try them out and see how they be. Come on and please watch.
Our embarrassment's free.
Tune in to Amateurs on WTOP.
Happy Friday, Lakers, and another beautiful day here in Oswego, New York. I'm DJ Don Perone, and I'm happy that you're starting your weekend off right listening to WNYO 88.9 FM, the Laker Radio Network.
I said, darling, can you see? There's no room for us. There's no room. Now our lives are changing. Promises keep slipping. And I always knew it wasn't you. It wasn't you. Now our lives are changing. Promises keep slipping. And I always knew it wasn't you. It wasn't you.
Welcome back to Be Kind and Rewind. Let's not waste any time and get right back into it with Rocky II. In 1979, we got the sequel simply called Rocky II.
This movie was written and directed by Sylvester Stallone and would witness the rematch of the century between him and Apollo Creed.
This happens after Creed feels he needs to prove he's better and that the first fight was a fluke, and also after Rocky is in critical need of money. Who would win the rematch of the century? Let's find out.
So, yes, this one was definitely, I feel like, a lot more focused on the fight, but also,
100%.
on Rocky, like, rise to stardom.
And also just kind of his naivety in having that stardom, like spending all of the money that he
he's
earned
like-
basically immediately on a
Pretty much,
house and
yeah.
all this stuff he doesn't need. So he ends up starting to work at the meat plant and trying to just find ways to work.
Yeah, and
Because
then,
originally he was going to retire after the Creed fight.
yeah, but that did not happen, so, yeah, he basically just had no choice but to accept Creed's rematch, and...
I mean, Apollo Creed, we didn't really get into him in the first movie, but he's an amazing character, played brilliantly by Carl Weathers.
Rest in peace.
Another rest in peace.
Yeah.
Gosh. But his like jealousy and like his anger comes through very well. Like he's like, I need to beat this bum. Like I need to prove it was a fluke. Like his trainer's trying to tell him like, let it go, just let it go. This isn't a good matchup. Like just let it go.
Yeah, Creed's definitely a showboat. Like that is pretty obvious.
That's
like
his whole thing.
Yeah, I think that he let his ego take the better of him. This is not my personal favorite rendition of Creed, in my opinion, but I do like see where he's coming from as a character in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I think Rocky's trainer has a very interesting position in this movie as well, where he's telling Rocky at first like, I don't want to do it. I think your eye's too damaged.
Yeah.
But then he comes around to it when Rocky's like, I need this. Like, I need to fight him again.
Yeah.
I think we can win.
Also, another important thing about this is that at one point in the movie, Adrian falls into a coma.
Yeah, because she's pregnant with their child.
Yeah, and they have a son. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big development. They get married and have a child in this movie, and their relationship continues to build. And the reason he ends up winning the fight is primarily because she says to him, like, I only want one thing from you, and that's to win.
Yeah, because she was at first very against him going back to fight.
Yeah, and understandably so. I mean, I couldn't imagine being in that position personally. But yeah, I mean,
that's just one of the things about being an athlete, I guess, especially a professional boxer. So
yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how being an athlete is. I mean, I can speak from some experience. I played football, not nearly as
not boxing, but
I mean, still pretty bad, but
yeah.
I mean, I think we can get into ranking this one, though.
I mean, we don't really have that much else to talk about for this one, so
we can
let's
get into the
go into the rankings. Oh, yeah, it's working.
Yeah, we have it working. This is my favorite, actually. I think it's better than the first one. I think it's the best.
That is insane. This is my number 3 of
that's insane.
The franchise. I don't know. I think it's just the whole Creed thing. I don't really like Creed in this movie. I'm going to be super honest.
That's very, very disappointing. I'm disappointed in you.
It's still a really good movie, just because it's not number 1.
I agree.
All right, so...
In 1982, we got another follow-up called Rocky III. This one sees us follow up with Rocky as he defends his title.
But while that's happening, we see a new challenger emerging who's hungry to prove himself and also take away Rocky's title.
We also see that Rocky is starting to let the fact he's a celebrity make him not able to focus and not take this new challenger seriously. This causes him to lose his title and mentor. Can he gain his belt back? Let's find out.
So this new
challenger, Clubber Lang.
Yeah, played by Mr. T.
This is when the franchise. This is when the franchise starts to go very 80s. It gets worse in Rocky IV. We'll talk about it.
This is not even close to Rocky IV.
But it's getting there with the guy named Clubber Lang, played by Mr. T. Talking about how I pity the fool. I'll eat my boa for lunch. I'll tell you what now.
Yeah, and also the cameo
of Hulk Hogan as Thunderlips, the heavyweight wrestling champion.
Yeah, they have a fight for charity, and
Hogan is just towering over Stallone. It's like whoa,
like who's carrying him? He's walking. That was a couple of lines.
That was great lines from Mickey and Paulie.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mickey, though,
he
dies in this movie.
I know,
which was very shocking.
I'm sure it was at the time. I mean, this is the first major death in a Rocky movie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it comes out of nowhere. They do start to suggest that he's having some issues with his heart, but
not enough to have it think that it's super serious. And
no, I agree with that. But also, he tries to tell Rocky to not take the Clubber Lang fight because he's like, you're getting soft. You don't want it as much. This kid really wants it.
Yeah.
And this whole thing of
it's just like you're turning into Creed. You're becoming that showboat that Creed was because you're letting your ego get the best out of you.
Yes. And speaking of Creed, I actually think this is the best showing of him because he actually ends up helping Rocky train for the rematch with Clubber because Clubber does beat Rocky.
Yeah. There's 2 fights in this movie. Or 3 if you count the Thunderlips one.
If you count the Thunderlips one, yes.
But 2 boxing matches in this movie, and one of them Clubber wins, and the one at the end Rocky ends up taking back.
Yeah, and
because of his help from Apollo Creed.
And even Adrian, because when he's training, he's not taking it seriously. He's clearly out of it.
Yeah.
And he's and it's one of my favorite scenes in the whole franchise when he's talking about, he's like, I'm afraid,
Yeah, that's...
Adrian's like, what is wrong with you? And he's like, I'm afraid because of what happened in the first fight.
Yeah, and he's got this whole whole masculine ideology that he
can't be afraid.
That
so
he's not allowed to be afraid, that he's a fighter and that he's supposed to man up and take it. So him admitting this is a very powerful scene, one of the most powerful in a series full of powerful scenes, I believe.
Also, love the use of Eye of the Tiger in this movie. It's an amazing song.
Yeah, this is where it got its popularity.
Yes. Speaking of getting its popularity, we haven't talked about the montages in this franchise. This one has a few.
Yeah,
the training montages.
Not quite as much as Rocky IV, but
which we'll get to.
We will get to that in a moment. But
some good training montages. Him and Apollo running on the beach is very iconic.
Yeah,
showing their new friendship, Rocky winning at the end, and then giving the little
doing the iconic Rocky movie freeze frame. So let's get to the rankings for this one. This is my number 2.
I have it at 3. I'm not as big of a fan of this one as you are.
I think this movie's the most underrated in the franchise. This was right up there with me with the original Rocky.
Wow.
That's how much I liked it.
See that's
but it
quite-
barely lost out, and that's why it's number 2.
Woof. All right.
All right,
That's-
moving on. In 1985, we got the most 80s feeling movie of this whole franchise, Rocky IV.
Rocky is back on top, but we are witness to a new fighter from the Soviet Union named Ivan Drago burst onto the scene in America.
Drago has a fight with Apollo Creed in which Apollo Creed dies, and the rest of the movie is Rocky attempting to get revenge against the Russian fighter. Will he get that revenge? Let's find out.
I mean, that's the whole thing we can
Yeah.
say about this movie. The decision to kill Apollo Creed off, and I've suggested, I think to you, that I think it would have been better to have him not die, but like be crippled, so
Yeah,
he
like
still
he-
can't continue athletics. He can't still continue boxing.
Yeah.
Because his whole thing in this movie is like, I'm not old. Like,
Yeah, he's
I still have
refusing to admit that he's like retired.
Yeah.
Like he can't do it anymore.
And so he sees this new fighter from the Soviet Union that's like this prodigy that is like they're hyping up as the best fighter ever.
They have him like punch a boxing bag at one scene, and it's like over 1,000 psi,
which is insane.
Which definitely is for a boxer. I mean, like, wow,
that's like getting hit with cinder blocks.
Pretty much.
which
Yeah, and
is
this dude's
crazy.
massive. He's like, I don't even know how
I think
tall.
Dolph
like,
Lundgren in real life is like 6'5", but he's still massive.
Yeah, and
he's
he's
massive in this movie, and that's, you can tell this movie was made during the Cold War. Let's say that. It's very clearly made during the Cold War.
Well, yeah, the whole USA versus Soviet Union thing.
That's even how Apollo's talking about the exhibition fight he has with Drago. You know, it's us versus them, you know?
Yeah, it's
Which
just
is
like, they can't beat us.
And then, my God, the 80s cheese.
Oh, my God.
The robot, Paulie's robot.
Oh, my God,
that he
Paulie's
gets-
robot.
gets gifted.
Gets gifted a robot for his birthday.
That
when
talks
like,
to him.
Yeah.
And he says at one point is his wife.
Oh, Paulie.
Paulie, jeepers. But, oh, man.
Yeah, and
this, I think, has the most montages. It has back-to-back training montages at one point when Rocky
yeah,
gets
it's
to
like they
Russia.
separate it by like what, 2 lines?
I think literally 2 lines of dialogue, and then we're back to another training montage.
Yeah, this.
Although this does have another one of the more iconic shots where Rocky runs up this mountain.
Yeah.
Just casually runs up
You
a
know,
mountain.
yeah, just runs up a mountain to train.
Covered in snow, by the way, because of course Russia's always covered in snow.
Yeah. Also, the fight's held on Christmas, because of course it is.
And Rocky also ends the Cold War. He beats Drago, and pretty much they pretty much imply that he ends the Cold War.
It's like, if you can change,
or if I can
change,
you can
change. We all can change.
What, like, again, very 80s, just like this one guy is able to just kind of end the Cold War with a boxing fight that is happening in the
multiverse, my
multiverse.
Holy
multiverse. Eh?
Yes.
That's
right.
See, we're not getting kicked off the air, folks. We're very smart over here. Let's get into the ranking.
Okay. All right. Yeah, this is both our number 5s.
Yeah, it's very cheesy. Not great. Not
I know
our
this
favorite.
movie has a little sort of cult following around it, but
yeah,
and it's still good in its own
good.
way, but it's just like not good in a movie fan's
sense.
eyes, you know.
All right. Well, folks, we got to take another quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Be Kind and Rewind.
Hey there, I'm Al Roker, class of 76. Yes, way back in 76. Back when the earth was cooling. You're watching WTOP.
The Kinda Late Show with Chloe and Anna. Like licorice, Twizzlers, absolutely nasty. The thought of turkey is just nauseating.
I think you're wrong, is what I think.
You think I'm wrong a lot of times.
I do think you're wrong a lot.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
I guess I have really been looking for love in this dating app. Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.
Welcome back, folks. Let's finish up the Rocky franchise. In 1990, we got what was meant to be the end of the franchise with Rocky V.
Following up Rocky's fight with Drago, we see the consequences of his head trauma forcing him to retire, and Paulie has also lost all of Rocky's money, so we see them return to the old neighborhood.
Rocky begins training fighters, but a special one named Tommy Gunn ends up taking his attention and causing a strain in the relationship with his son and his wife. What happens? Let's find out.
Oh boy, Rocky V.
Yeah, I feel
the maligned chapter of this franchise. I think we can all agree. I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes score before we.
35%, I think.
I think 33 actually. It's
wow,
it's quite low. A lot of people hate this movie.
I don't think it's that bad. I mean, like,
yeah, I can't say it's that awful.
I mean, it's not a I'm walking out of the theater movie.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
This has one of the better openings in the franchise to me, where showing Rocky like trembling in the shower after the Drago fight because he's in so much pain.
Yeah.
And even mistaking Adrian for Mickey, like, Mick, I want to go home. Like, showing the consequences of the head
fight.
trauma and just that fight in general, and probably his whole career at that point now, you got to think about.
I don't know if centering the entire story about them going back to Philly was
necessary.
Yeah, it's just like, if they really wanted him to go back to Philly, they could have, like, I don't know, bought a mansion in Philly. It's like,
or at least to near closer to the neighborhood.
I guess it signifies like loss of wealth.
Yeah.
And so him having to go back to his old days where he's on the street and he has to be like street smart.
And he has to be the trainer. He starts teaching his son how to be street smart. I think that's one of the other things people don't like is the performance of his son.
Yeah.
They feel like, the main complaints I've heard, and that I would kind of agree with, is that he's just kind of mean to Rocky for no reason.
Yeah. I mean, like, I could get that if he's like, how old would you say he is?
Like what, 13 probably?
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, like, he doesn't.
And you also got to think, the Tommy Gunn thing, really, Tommy Gunn literally takes his room, because Tommy Gunn is this fighter from Oklahoma that goes to Rocky, and he's like, I think you could train me. I think I could be really good.
Yeah, he's played by real-life boxer Tommy Morrison, by the way.
Rest in peace. That's
another rest in peace.
But that whole thing, the character also of George Washington Duke, who is the promoter trying to get Rocky out of retirement, he's played very over the top, but I kind of like it.
I would like one of his giant fur coats, though.
I would love a giant fur coat.
That could definitely be useful with the winds here in Oswego.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't fall over.
But he ends up kind of swaying Tommy Gunn on his side and stealing him away from Rocky. So this whole relationship that Rocky's been building just kind of goes to the wayside.
Also, like, that's the thing. This movie doesn't have a boxing ring fight in it. Like, I don't
It just has the ending street fight with him and Tommy.
Yeah, like, that's...
I mean, it shows some of Tommy's fights, but
I guess,
very
but,
quick
like, that's
snippets.
not a whole fight.
They're very quick
and
snippets.
Obviously, Rocky's not in the whole fight.
Yeah. And it's just also just a strange addition to the franchise. It feels pretty inconsequential, other than Rocky just being poor now.
Yeah.
But let's get to ranking, I think.
Yeah, I think we're about ready. Yeah, this one's last.
This is last. I mean, we said it's not as bad, but it is still last.
Yeah,
what can you do, man?
It's not as bad as people make it out to be.
Agreed.
But yeah.
So it would be 16 years before we got another addition to this franchise in 2006's Rocky Balboa.
This movie picks up with Rocky after having lost his wife to cancer and having a somewhat strained relationship with his son. He now owns a restaurant.
But he starts to get the urge to fight once again after a computer simulation against the current champion gains national attention. Does the old slugger still got it? Let's find out.
I think that's a pretty obvious answer. He did. He did
end up having it. Yeah, he went the whole 10 rounds.
He didn't win. It was another split decision. Since this was an exhibition fight, because he was in his late 50s when this movie came out.
I think that's the main I feel like this is also a somewhat divisive movie in the franchise, I would say.
I like it though. I think that
I agree. I mean, like it.
Yeah, they don't quite transition onto Creed. This is just sort of like I'm trying to think of a good comparison with another franchise.
I don't know, it's kind of just like bridging the gap in a sense.
Yeah.
But you can tell they didn't know they were going to do Creed after this, so it was just kind of meant to be the end of Rocky's story, at least as a fighter.
Yeah. And I do like how they make it feel like you're watching a sports broadcast. Especially the final fight, they have the little graphics up there and everything.
Yeah, I think this is, of the Rocky movies, this is the best at making you feel like you're watching a real sports broadcast, which I think the other movies were somewhat lacking.
Yeah, they were definitely movie fights, but this one, with the whole ESPN thing, there's a lot of
HBO as well.
Yeah, a lot of ESPN scenes in this movie, especially the whole simulation between Rocky and what's his name, Dixon.
Mason
yeah.
Dixon.
I don't know why I was
Dixon.
I don't know why I was blanking on the name there, but
his whole I do kind of like his story. He wants the Rocky fight because he's kind of being perceived as a joke.
Yeah,
there's
just
been no good challengers. You've only been fighting bums. You're kind of the same thing they said to Tommy in 5. You'll never be Rocky. And then also the simulation comes out and Rocky wins that virtual simulation against him.
Speaking of never being like Rocky, I know Rocky's son, who's now an adult in this movie, he talks about always being in Rocky's shadow. He has all these friends that only look at him as Rocky's son. And he's talking about at one point how he has all these opportunities to do his own thing, but that's getting overshadowed by Rocky fighting and Rocky being, Rocky Balboa and this famous guy.
And I think he also talks about how even though he's getting these opportunities, a lot of times it is only because Rocky's his father.
Exactly.
And it is an interesting position. That's when Rocky tells him he's going to fight, he's like, I don't want you to, because once again, you're going to be this big shadow looming over me. And it's an interesting way to look at that relationship, I think.
That's just being a product of, I guess, nepotism, if I have to say anything else. That's,
and also, just one thing I want to mention.
He just doesn't want to be part of.
One thing I want to mention as well is showing the different ways that him and Paulie are dealing with the death of Adrian. Paulie doesn't want to think about it. Rocky can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
I think it was very well done.
All right, we're going to rank this one. This is 4 for both of us.
Number 4.
Yeah, I think that they did the best that they could with a very, let's just say, out of place movie in the franchise.
Agreed. But I think we got to get to the train wreck of the week, folks.
Yeah.
Right there.
Here is the train wreck of the week.
Let's see what it is. The robot. We already talked about.
That's the robot there.
That's the robot right there.
The alien-looking thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's got a little party hat on. It's
it's Paulie's birthday present.
Very, very 80s move there.
Very 80s. Yeah, it's Paulie, and I mean that could have made its own movie there.
Yeah, they should create a spin-off, except for we can't.
Well, Burt Young's dead. That's a bit.
Great. Now we made it sad.
You made it sad, actually.
Aww.
You're wearing Carolina Panthers merch. You made it sad.
Okay. We're gonna not mention the Panthers anymore.
Well, it appears. Yeah, let's get to the show. Our final rankings.
Yeah, final rankings up here. Get the robot off the screen. Yeah, there's the rankings from worst to best.
Well, it appears we're just about out of time here on Be Kind and Rewind.
And we'd like to thank all of you for watching and thank our amazing crew. This production would not be possible without you guys, so again, thank you.
And remember, regardless of what's happening in the world, in the words of Rocky, keep on punching. And remember as well to be kind.
And rewind.